You're listening to Reviving Kanehsatake Radio on RKR 101.7 FM in partnership with the Pines Reporter from the Eastern Door. We're building a community media hub to strengthen Indigenous storytelling and reporting here in Kanehsatake. So today I'm joined by Pines Reporter journalist Hadassah Allen-Carr and Fern Marmont. And first off, let's just say welcome back, Fern.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. It's been, 3 weeks that we don't have you here, but it's always good to have you back. I'm your host, Sterling Millett. Welcome to the show, Hadassah and Fern. So how are you both today?
Doing good.
Excited for the barbecue?
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be a good barbecue coming up. So let's kick this thing off right away. We're going straight to Hadassah. Council presents a Path to Pines ecological gift. So this one talks about the MCK's meetings on working with a third-party company to help secure the land transfer for the land in the Pines from Gregoire Gaulin. So who is the company in question and why does the MCK want them to facilitate this?
Well, to start off, the company is called Eco Corridor Laurentien, and it is an ecological protection non-profit organization. This is really about why does the MCK want their help. There are two main problems regarding this land, according to MCK Caretaker Council member Brant Etienne. The first is the land in question, the one that is being transferred under this quote-unquote ecological gift program, would be vulnerable to seizure from creditors. This means if the MCK is indebted to someone, they could seize the land to pay off the debt. There have been times in Kanehsatake's history where seizures of this nature have happened, and there are threats of it happening in the future. I listed a few examples in the article. Unfortunately, under the Ecological Gifts program, the land, once it's transferred to Kanehsatake, it wouldn't automatically be added to the Kanehsatake land base. So that ultimately means it wouldn't be protected from seizure the way the territory is now. Brant said the partnership with this third-party organization, Eco Corridor Laurentien, would give the land protection from being seized. And the second main issue is unregulated development. Obviously, this is an issue that many of the community here know is happening. The fear is that the Pines land would also be vulnerable to land grabbing. Again, Caretaker Council member Brant Etienne said the partnership with Eco Corridor Laurentien would help to protect from this. The organization would help to facilitate calls to the police to remove people who are building there illegally. So basically, the MCK is saying Eco Corridor Laurentien would help to protect the Pines from seizure from creditors and to help deter unregulated development.
And you also had a chance to talk to Kanehsatake Owner Clifton Nicholas, and what was some of his sentiments towards this ecological gift?
Well, to put it bluntly, Clifton Nicholas is against this Pines land transfer. He is against the principle of land being transferred back to Kanehsatake as a quote-unquote gift. Community member Clifton Nicholas was adamant that accepting the land back as a gift would undermine broader land claims. He said in our interview, and I quote, "And I'm sorry, the guy has no right to that land. I don't care who he bought it from," he said, referring to Gregoire Gaulin. Quote, "There are laws in Canada about against buying stolen property, and it falls silent when we talk about Indigenous property. If I had a stolen car, I couldn't go sell it. I couldn't go gift it either. It's still a stolen car. MCK is dealing with stolen goods."
And what did the lawyer Nicholas Dodd have to say about the possibility of formally registering the Pines land in question as the Kanehsatake land base?
Well, the straightforward answer is Nicholas Dodd said that it can be done. However, the issue right now is it would take years to get done. According to Nicholas Dodd himself and the MCK Council have been exploring this option. They were informed by federal representatives they spoke to that the process could take years. So the main crux of the issue now is time. It's been about 7 years since Gregoire Gaulin and former Grand Chief Serge Simon signed a memorandum of understanding to transfer this Pines land over to Kanehsatake. There have been many lawsuits and other barriers to the transfer happening earlier. The MCK, under the Caretaker Council, sees a quicker way forward to the Pines land returning to Kanehsatake and being protected from the risks we spoke about earlier if this Eco Corridor Laurentien organization comes into the picture. The MCK could go forward down the line with the formal route of registering the Pines land in question to Kanehsatake land base in the future. Just for now, that's not the option the MCK under this caretaker council thinks is the next best step.
Thank you, Hadassah. So now we're going to move on to Fern, and Fern's back after 3 weeks. So let's start off with Strike for the Elders. You actually got to go bowling with the elders. Tell me how the elders felt about it.
Yeah, so they all seemed really happy and excited to be there. At first, some elders told me that they were really nervous to do something so physical, but they gained confidence and were really bowling their hearts out by the end of it. While there were some pretty incredible strikes, there was definitely a lot of gutter balls, but everyone was super supportive, and no matter the score, the elders were cheering and laughing.
And not all the elders get to participate, as Anna Filippelli describes in the article. So what are some of the reasons why, and what can they do?
Yeah, so Filippelli shared that there are kind of two groups of elders. The younger, more mobile elders, and then the older, less mobile elders who live at Riverside. While these older elders do participate in some of the elder events, there are a lot of reasons that they can't or decide not to attend. Some of those reasons are mobility issues, weather, what mood they are in, how much energy they have at the end of the day, or they simply just don't want to go. Philippa told me that if an elder doesn't want to attend an event, there is not a lot she can do, but she does focus on more one-on-one activities with the Riverside elders. And then, as I said before, there are elder circle events that the other elders do attend, and there has been some talk to have more collaborative events between the two groups of elders.
And so for elders who may be interested in joining this elder social circle, do you have any information for them, like who they can call or how they can reach them?
Yeah, so you can get in contact with Melody at 438-233-4263. There is a shopping trip planned at the end of the month and a bi-weekly elder chair exercise that is starting this month.
So thank you, Fern. We're going to turn back to Hadassah. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Pines reporter, journalist Hadassah Alankar and Fern Marmont on about the Pines Reporter recap and some of the stuff that's going on this week in this edition of Pines Reporter in the Eastern Door. So council update on federal court case. The MCK ordered an update about the future of the elections here in Kanehsatake. Can you just summarize what was in the update?
Yes, so there are two main takeaways. The first is that the hearing for the court case hasn't been booked yet. All the parties have signaled they're ready, documents are in, the court has signaled the next step is to book the date. However, they haven't found one yet. The lawyer for Amanda Simon, one of the respondents of the case, believes the court day will be scheduled for some time before the end of June. The second main takeaway from the letter is the MCK has also signaled they're open to discussing an alternative pathway to a local election. Now, the MCK has offered a few settlements to the parties involved in the court case before. They were really trying to end the case and have an election happen sooner, but the settlements weren't accepted. So now they're posting publicly that they're open to discussing something in order to have the election be called sooner. Will the parties be willing to work out something so that the election happens sooner? Only time will tell.
And what are some of the circumstances in which an election can be held?
Well, there's two circumstances that will lead to an election. One is the settlement that we just discussed. If everyone agrees to the terms of the settlements and they agree to an election being called by the caretaker council, then an election would happen. However, what's ultimately stopping the election from happening right this moment is because the judge ruled a caretaker council cannot hold an election. Only an elected council can hire a new CEO and call an election. This whole court case, the very point of it, is for Kanehsatake to receive instruction from the court on how they're supposed to move forward after the canceled election. So if the settlement doesn't happen, Kanehsatake will have to wait for the instruction from the court.
Thank you, Hadassah. So we're going to turn back now to Fern once again. So Eagles win strong after loss. The Kanehsatake Eagles lost their home opener to the Muscush Kodiak 6-3. What were some of the reasons behind their loss?
So I spoke with player Sean Boudreau, who said that their first game that they took, their first game against the Muscush Kodaks, they took their game a little too lightly. And then when the Kodaks came on strong in the first half of the game, it forced the Eagles into defense. Eagles organizer and Kyle Akarutu Kanehsatake said one of the issues in the first game was the team was a little undisciplined, and that they spent the first 30 minutes of their 40-minute game in the penalty box.
But they won their second game, so tell me how that game went.
Yeah, so Kanehsatake told me that after their loss, in the locker room, he told his team that they were too strong of a team to perform like that. So that when they went against the Ottawa Black Sheep, they were much more attentive and cohesive as a team. Boudreau also told me that everyone played really well, the offensive kept possession of the ball, made plays, and scored. Their defense was strong, bringing up the ball to offense. He also credited the team's goalies for being solid. Boudreau also spoke on how incredible it was to have the community show up and cheer them on.
Yeah, I also have one moment that made me laugh. It was with Boudreau, and there was this like little guy for the Outaouais Black Sheep that was running down. He had the ball, and then he saw Sean coming. And I don't know if you don't know who Sean is. Sean is he's over 6 feet tall. He's a pretty big guy. This little guy is looking at him, coming over his shoulder, charging at him like a train. And then he got scared with the ball, and he just shot it down into the corner and took off. And anyway, we got a good laugh out of it, so it was pretty good. So thanks, Fern, for that one. So we're going back to you, Hadass. We're going to finish it off. Local security, Pines for 2-year fun. Kanehsatake Perimeter Security looks like they may be securing 2 more years of funding. So where is this funding coming from, and who is securing it?
Well, the funding would come from the Assembly of First Nations Quebec Labrador. And who found it was actually MCK Caretaker Council member Amy Beauvais and MCK Consulting Communications Officer Justine Germain. So far, discussions are going very well, and the Caretaker Council is very hopeful this will go through, and everyone involved says it's going positively. So that's really good to know.
And KPS coordinator Kane Montour seems very happy. What are his plans if they do secure this funding?
Well, what's exciting is that it'll give the KPS funding to operate 24/7. Right now, the KPS officially runs from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the funding would also increase the number of staff, and it'll give them the opportunity to do more specialized training.
Awesome. So I think that's it for this week. But before we wrap this up, is there anything that either you, Hadassah, or Fern would like to add before we call an end to this?
Just to wish everybody a happy long weekend.
Shout out to the athletes that I spoke to today at the schools. It was really exciting to talk to them, and I'm excited to write more about the student athletes next week. They're about to go to the FNEC, so good luck to our volleyball team and to all the athletes going.
All right, so thank you very much. Get this week's copy of The Eastern Door at Bayside Convenience, Mohawk Gas Bar, and Little Tree, or you can subscribe online at theeasterndoor.com. And that was a conversation with the Pines reporter, journalist Hadassah Alankar and Fern Marmont from The Eastern Door. It's all part of our collaboration with Reviving Kanehsatake Radio to grow Indigenous media and community reporting right here in Kanehsatake. For more local stories and updates, grab your copy of The Eastern Door or stay tuned right here on RKR 101.7 FM. So for everyone listening this week, Nyawagoa and Nyawagoa to both of you. Once again, you ladies, Hadassah Alankar and Fern Marmont, for joining me. And tune in next week as we'll have more for you coming up here on the Pines Reporter Recap.